So when you're feeling alone and then living in fear also, because I always figured I'd just end up like my mom, because, there's a lot of genetics with mental illness. And so I went through this super dark period of, drugs and escaping and rave parties and not taking care of my body, and somehow ended up in California. And I was living in California a couple of years and just doing the same old thing, like 18 to 20, like going out to the clubs in Hollywood and just anything to not connect myself with reality.
The sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow, yeah.
Well, welcome back to the Road to Self-Love. It's your boy, Paul Fishman, self-love coach and You Do You activist, here with my now, I think, best friend, Karena Dawn of Tone It Up fame and fortune, right? So I'm really honored to have you in the car with me as we journey literally and figuratively on the road to self-love. So I always think that self-love is about just like owning who you are, and that's why I make my guests introduce themselves. So I would love for you to introduce yourself in your own words and humble brag, whatever you want to do.
Hello, I'm Karena Dawn. I'm myself, I'm me, and also happen to be the co-founder of fitness and lifestyle community, Tone It Up. So we, it's myself and my business partner, Kat, founded the company. Do you know what right now is our 10-year anniversary?
Really?
10 years, yeah.
Wow.
We're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, you made
pretty, amazing. But yeah, we basically provide women with everything they need to live their happiest and healthiest lives and be fit and healthy, but really have that balance between, everything.
Yeah.
Just, everyone wants to grow and be better people, and we have those tools for you.
Amazing. I love that you have an app, you have all of the different challenges. I love how you're always just like, oh yeah, new nutrition products. Focus. And you just launched in CVS, which is so cool.
Like Target and CVS.
Oh, hey, self-lovers. I am in New York City, and I'm just popping in because I have a quick question for you. Have you ever wanted a community where you can join whenever, wherever you are, learn valuable tips and tricks on how to love yourself unconditionally, and come together with like-minded individuals, people just like you? Well, guess what? I'm going to give you that opportunity to join me in Self-Love on Demand, a virtual community dedicated to giving you the tools to learn how to love yourself unconditionally. All you have to do is head to selfloveondemand.com, sign up for the email list, and you will get notified when the doors open again. I am so excited to welcome you into Self-Love on Demand very soon. Let's get back to the episode.
I mean, I'm just curious, like 10 years ago, if you would have talked to 10-year ago Karena, would you have been and told her what you're doing right now? Would you have believed it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so, because I was at this point in my life where I knew there was something greater, and a passion, it came from passion. It's still passionate. And I don't really feel any different than I did 10 years ago. It's just continuing to do your passion and share it.
Yeah. Well, so give us a little background just for everyone who's listening who maybe has never been in contact with the Tone It Up brand. How did Tone It Up get started?
Well, told this story a few times. So Katrina and I both were in the fitness industry prior to Tone It Up, and both found our passion in fitness in our own ways, but it really helped us shape and change our lives and to live a better life. And so when we met at a gym, we instantly connected. I mean, she introduced herself and she's like, "I'm Katrina." I was like, "No way, I'm Karena." And we had both just moved to Manhattan Beach. She was from the East Coast, and I was just I was in LA already, but I had gone through a breakup of I was with someone for 7 years, and when you have that breakup and move to a new area, we moved to a new area, and then our friends that were joint friends kind of separated, So I was spending a lot of time at the gym, even on Friday nights, and that's when Katrina picked me up. But we realized we lived a couple blocks from each other, and realized we had this really crazy synergy. And we both wanted to share our passion for fitness and living a healthy lifestyle with other women. And also in a way that is not so strict. Because I think 10 years ago when you're working out, it's like you're so strict. You can't eat this or you can't do this. And you can't laugh or have fun. And so we really wanted to bring fun back into fitness.
Ooh, I love fun back into fitness. That's beautiful. So on Instagram, I asked if my followers and your community had any questions for you. And the one that came up quite a few times was, what would you be doing right now if Tone It Up weren't a thing? If it hadn't ever taken, I know, if it hadn't ever taken off.
Since I was a little girl, I would watch my mom do VHS tapes with Jane Fonda and Kathy Smith, and I always wanted to grow up and be in the fitness industry. And so, but then there was this majorly dark area of my life where fitness was my last go-to. And so then when that period I came out of that period, I went back to fitness. So no matter what, it was going to be a personal trainer or something in the fitness industry.
Cool. I like it. So we can definitely know that you are committed to fitness and you are committed to that mission. And I think this is a really beautiful thing to point out, that when you align with what you're truly meant to do, the universe will offer you things. And I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into what you said about that dark period, because you've been a huge advocate for mental health and you've been telling a lot of your story recently, and I think that it's been really powerful for me to experience that side of you, because it almost when you look at someone like you, you're just this big pillar of health and wellness, but it's just you're also a human. So would you be willing to dive a little bit deeper into what you were experiencing and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I can even, going back to fitness, I wanted to be in the fitness industry when I was a kid. It was for a totally different reason than as an adult, but it was that love for fitness and taking myself back to being a kid and knowing how much fitness made me happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I grew up with a mom who was mentally ill. And so she was diagnosed when I was 12 years old. And I didn't even talk about this for so many years. I'm so happy that more people are talking about it. Because back then, when you're, 11, 12 and going through your teenage years and dealing with a mom in and out of the house and dealing with delusions and just so many crazy stories, I thought I was alone. And so I never talked. And that's the brilliant thing about now. People are talking about it. And so when you're feeling alone and then living in fear also, because I always figured I'd just end up like my mom, because, there's a lot of genetics with mental illness. And so I went through this super dark period of, drugs and escaping and rave parties and not taking care of my body, and somehow ended up in California. And I was living in California a couple years and just doing the same old thing, 18 to 20, going out to the clubs in Hollywood and, just anything to not connect myself with reality. And literally, I didn't want to deal with myself. I never thought I would accomplish anything, because I witnessed my mom and her illness and how she lost everything. So I just assumed I was going to end up the same way. And so I was just fuck it, just do whatever. And then there was a period finally, it was this aha moment of just really dark place, and it clicked in me. I remember I was sitting in a park and I hadn't slept and it was the morning. And I was I'm either going to die, my life cannot sustain this, or I make a change. And so I decided right then and there I was going to make a change. And that was my very early 20s. And this is I literally, it was almost 10 years of badness. So I made that change and I got into therapy. I read every self-help book. I can give you a nice long list of great self-help books.
We'll leave them in the show notes for you.
And then it was that moment where I was like, when was I happy again? And, you know, I was just pondering this, and I was like, I remember when I was 11 years old, 12 years old, and I ran a half marathon, and I felt like I accomplished something. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for a triathlon, because I never thought I could achieve anything. And I thought that if I could train for this triathlon, and I did it all by myself, and it was a women's triathlon in San Diego, if I could train for this and commit to myself in this race, then it's my first step of knowing that I can achieve something. And so many times I didn't want to. And even the morning of the race, when I woke up at 2 a.m. and drove down to San Diego by myself, and I did the race, and I just cried at the end.
Yeah. What were the tears about?
I believed in myself.
Oh, I'm gonna cry now. That's so good.
It was like, it's such a small, like, little step, you know? And then you just keep building on that. And then it was like, okay, I'm going to sign up for another race. I'm going to sign up for this. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my certification and training. And just like all these little steps, it's like, okay, I achieved this. And I just kept going and challenging myself.
I love that. So this is like, for all of you listening right here and now or watching, like, know that it's important to give yourself permission to not only feel the feelings, but to just like try your best and push through it. And this is like living, breathing truth here. So, you know, after that breaking point, when you started believing in yourself, what do you think was like, what were some other tools that you used to really build yourself up and get you to that point where you felt confident enough to step into your truth?
Yeah. I mean, that's where like the shift came to, because I mentioned I was living in fear, and then you have to live in self-love and believing that you deserve it. Little steps was, I did my triathlon. I got into yoga, like literally like working out. It became my therapy. So I just dove in with like yoga, and I got back into meditation and those little things, and eating right, and the food that you feed yourself. I mean, late night in Hollywood when the clubs closed, I was going to Jack in the Box.
Oh, listen, their tacos, they were part of my life for a very long time.
The curly fries?
So good.
Yeah, it's just the little steps and surrounding yourself with positive people. And yeah, I think that's a really important thing. People that bring you up, people that have healthy habits that you can be around, removing yourself from those situations that aren't healthy for you, and learning to say no. I definitely think like going through such a big transition is harder than just staying. Like, you know how like some people are just complacent. You don't have to do anything.
Totally.
But then you're unhappy.
Well, it's really interesting you say that, because a lot of my clients, when they step into working with me, they're at that breaking point. They're like, okay, I can stay comfortable and confident where I am right now because I'm at the job that I know pays my bills, and I'm in a relationship and I know that they're going to like take care of their side of everything, but like I'm miserable. And it's like, what is more powerful? Like giving yourself permission to actually like try and to live your best life and failing, or just not doing it at all. You know, people are so scared of the fear of failure. So I'm sure you've experienced a little bit of fear over your 10 years of building this fitness empire. Like when did I love asking the question, like, when did you step through the fear, even though it took like every ounce of your being to do it, and how did it pay off? If there are any type of examples you can give us.
And it's different for everyone. But when I was ready to make that transition in my life, I had already been through every sort of shit. Like, that I wasn't afraid anymore because it couldn't get worse. And I learned, like, the little things that went, I wouldn't say wrong in building a business or, you know, growing a business, but the little things didn't matter. And, like, the show will go on. You know, I didn't because when you look at what really matters in life, like your happiness and just health. Like, you don't let the little things bug you. You just keep pushing forward.
Continue pushing forward. Like, I know that there are so many people who just are at this place watching this, listening to this, that they want to know, like, but how? Like, do you have any, like, tangible tools or techniques that you could offer, you know, that, like, whether that worked for you or that just come to mind?
Oh, jeez, let me think back on that one. Asking for help. I mean, your clients are coming to you for help.
Yeah.
Talking to people, talking through things, not holding things inside. And even after, like, my transition, it took me many, many years to even believe that I deserved it. And now I'm at this place where I'm like, self-care is, like, number one. Like, I don't feel guilty for it. I'm like, I got to do this for me so I can do my job better. And I think that is one of the most important things, is, like, for you to live your dream, you have to make sure it's your dream and you're taking care of yourself first.
Wow. Talk more about that. Like, what, like, your dream as compared to everyone else's dream?
For me, I get fulfilled in helping. And I think you keep, as we continue and with Tone It Up and even beyond, like, the fitness, that's why I'm talking more now and about mental health and working with NAMI. And I've trained with them a lot, and we go into high schools and do this program called End the Silence, and it's to help prevent suicides in high schools, because I also, during my dark time, attempted suicide. So that's really fulfilling to me, to think that you can let young teenagers know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
I don't know, just things that keep you fed too.
Yes, I love that. So if you're listening right now and you're just like, want to figure that out, like, my biggest recommendation is just taking a pen and paper, sitting down and writing what makes me happy. You know, as easy as that. And if you don't know, that's okay, but at least you did your best to find out.
Yeah, because that's what I did in my early 20s. I was like, when was I last happy? Like, when was I fulfilled? Oh, I was running. Okay, go run.
Well, I think that's perfect time for our first road trip game of the day. I would love to play the association game with you. Now, the association game, essentially how it works is I will say a word and you say the first thing that comes into your head, and then I'm going to have to say the first thing that comes into my head from the word that you said. And we're just going to go until we start laughing uncontrollably or we just feel like we've had enough, okay? So I'm going to start. I'm going to say skunk.
Oh my, do you know that in my head, I was already thinking skunk?
Okay, perfect. So we're basically so connected.
Love.
Oh, for some reason I thought monkey.
Oh, hate. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. My husband I have 2 cats that I adopted, and he's like, why did we adopt?
Oh yeah, because I call my husband like my love monkey. So when you said love, I was like, oh, monkey. But that's your cat's name also. This is great. We're learning so much. Yeah, look at that.
I was like, wow, you remember monkey's name? You just met her.
Yeah, but I kind of did. But so, we've made it really far. So I'm just going to keep on going. Yoga.
Passion.
Self-love.
Work.
Fulfilling.
Work. And I don't mean by it. Yeah. Beyonce.
Oh.
I just watched her new documentary last night.
I casually watch all your stories, and I had one dive in it too. I just secretly just really need to know Beyonce, you know, but I feel like have you already met her? I feel like you have. No? That's strange.
But I'm glad that you feel like it.
I feel like it's a thing that's going to be happening really soon in your future, and you're going to be like, I'm meeting Beyonce. I need to call Paul, and he's going to come with.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm manifesting this. This is my number one focus. We've made it through the association game. That was great. right here and now, you know, you're 10 years into Tone It Up. You've created like this beautiful community of women around you. And I firsthand have experienced that because when I first connected with you, you had me onto set and we created some really fun content together. And when you shared that, like the outpouring of members from your community coming over to mine and like being so in it was so cool to experience. Like, how did you do that? How did you create such like this insane community that not only is so into you, but creates new Instagram handles with TIU in them? How did you do that?
You know, we could ask that a lot, but I think, you know, and again, I said this earlier, we started with a passion and a purpose, and we always go back there, and we've always just been ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it. You know, being authentic, which everyone's talking about authenticity and all of that, but it really is from the beginning, and our friendship and sharing. And also, I think a lot of women want like this great friendship and connection, and it's really hard. And especially like when Kat and I met, we met in like the old days before apps, where you have to like go up and talk to someone. But now we love it because the community connects with one another, because we're all like-minded women. Mm-hmm. And so now women are becoming best friends through fitness and through Tone It Up community. They're in each other's weddings. They're having workout meetups, happy hour together. And I think it's so beautiful, because the more, especially in a world where I feel like a lot of women can talk down on one another or be judgmental, which really just comes from insecurities. The Tone It Up community is a place of non-judgment, and women come here to feel safe.
I love that so much. I love it the most, and I think that like I'm ready for there to be a community for men to come together for non-judgment and talk about it. So,
do you get a lot of that?
I don't. So my community is primarily women. I don't have, but I feel as though there is this yearning for men that is just like unspoken. So I'm just going to task Bobby with that. I think that he's the perfect guy to do it, and maybe him and I can partner together and create it. I'm all about that. That would be lots of fun.
I would.
Yeah,
Bobby would probably have a lot of fun.
Yeah, too much fun maybe. We wouldn't get any work done, but that's neither here nor there. So you just created authenticity, and I love that, because it's just it's a big thing that we hear a lot of. But like, what even does authenticity mean to you? Because it's one of those terms that's thrown around so much. Like, what does it mean?
Just always being real, being you. And I mean, if you think about when Kat and I had our first conversation about teaming up together and the power of two, we never did it for money. You know what I mean? Mm. And that was never the goal. And we just always stayed true to our roots. We said no to a lot of things that were offered to us if it wasn't authentic to who we are and what Tone It Up was. And I think that comes across in everything that we do.
Yeah, that is so cool. That's something that I really just want to make sure everyone heard, that you said no more than you said yes. And it's not it cannot be about the money if you truly have this massive vision and dream, you know. And from my experience, creating things out of scarcity never actually come to fruition. So that's really, really cool that 10 years has gone by and you've truly cultivated this authentic, true business that you can feel comfortable and confident in. You didn't sign your life away to a brand or a deal or anything like that. That's so cool. So you know, it's easy to look at you and say, oh, she has it all. She has all these things. But like, and we've gone through the iterations of you from before to now. It's like, what would you tell someone who's like, looks at you and aspires to have something that like you do, like outside of like the very generic, like just keep on going, keep on doing it, like, you know?
I will say I have my struggles. I'm not perfect. I don't have like an easy life just because, you know, Tone It Up is doing great. I still have to work really hard. So that does go. I will say, keep on going. You never stop growing, never stop learning. I have to work out every day, or if I miss 2 days, then my mood starts going down. I have to take care of myself. I have to meditate. Otherwise, I can have some sadness. I think it's really important that people who don't make time, even 20 minutes a day, and even like on days when you're like really busy at work, you're like, oh, I don't have time to work out. But if you work out for 20 minutes that day, your energy and your creativity is lifted for the next few hours. So always squeeze it in. I don't know. It's just always striving to grow and learn.
This person commented on my most recent post, which was like, a lot of us choose to chase money because we're scared to chase our dreams. And they asked me if I was like a high profit, something like a high value entrepreneur. And I was like, well, define that for me. Like, I don't know what does that mean. And they were like, it's, yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, sure, I value myself and pay me all the money. Yeah. I didn't know if it was like a trap, because you never know with like these comments on Instagram. But anyway, so she defined it as someone who's willing to grow, someone who, values their time and worth, and someone who's willing to admit their failures and like learn. And I was just like, yeah, that absolutely 100% is what I think. And that's what I loved about what you said, that you are willing to always grow, because when you stop growing, you stay stagnant.
Complacent and just, I don't know, I just never want to just always be doing the same thing.
Yeah. So when we first met, I asked you a question, and you got a little uncomfortable when I asked you this question. So I might have just caught you off guard, but I'm curious, because I asked you, I said, have you ever just like taken a step back and just like celebrated everything that you've done in 10 years? And you looked at me like I was like crazy that I asked you that question. So I'm curious, like, either like tell me more about that reaction, if it was just like a thing like, oh, I don't take time to celebrate, or like, tell me.
I celebrate all the time.
Yes, you do.
I do. And I do, but I think that's really important too. Like, you have to sometimes remind yourself to like, look, because it was when you came on set, and like there was the whole crew around and the RV and all of that, and it's like, when Kat and I started, it was just a tripod and us, and we do celebrate, and that's the great thing too, having a business partner and a best friend. Like, we get to celebrate together and like get to share those memories and those moments, and so I think that's something that is really special as well. But and we go on trips together just to celebrate, but then we don't talk about work, but we definitely take those moments to look around.
Oh, I bet it's really hard to not talk about work, but good
no,
for you.
We do it.
Yeah?
We were just in Greece last summer. It was her baby moon, and I went on it with her, and we don't. And it's not that we're not trying, but we know how to separate. And I think that's also important too for people to know, like, that work and then your social life.
I really like that. You've been able to create that work-life balance, because we're in this society where we're told that working more and working harder means like we're more successful and productive, and it just doesn't feel that way for me ever when I'm in that.
Yeah, working smarter, being more efficient with your time. But yeah.
So I'm curious, like, what is something like that you've really felt called to do recently, but you are scared to do? Like,
I'm actually doing it.
You're doing it?
Because I have learned, whether it's physical fitness or growth or anything, change is uncomfortable. And I've gotten to this point, like, I know this might sound weird, but public speaking, which is weird because we go on stage and teach workouts all the time and do panels, but actually speaking about mental health, I was really nervous when I was doing the Women's Power Up conference last October, and it was my first time speaking about mental health and talking about my path and my history by myself on stage, because usually I'm with Kat. But then I'm talking about something I don't normally talk about. So I was so scared for like, and I was rewriting my speech up until when I went on stage. But then afterwards, I felt so good. Even, I know this might sound silly, but like speaking in high schools about mental health, but it's just something different that I'm not used to. But then you get used to it and you're like, that wasn't so bad.
It's also like, me imagining going back to high school, I would be
Maybe I had
terrified,
anxiety
because that was like
high
where like
school.
a lot of my pain comes from,
Right.
you know, those times of my life. So I
Maybe
get
I'm
that.
afraid of the high school students bullying me.
seriously so much, but they're just like looking at you and they're like,
Dramatic.
oh yeah, man, I don't know, like high school was just like tough all around. Well, so what is something that you would say to like high school Karena? Like if you could go back and like say anything to her, what would you say?
It's gonna be okay, and this is all happening for a reason. Because I look back now and I never regret anything, because if a mistake, or not even a mistake, something happened, you are learning from it constantly, and it's meant to be there as a lesson for you. And even, I have, my mom is around, and, I take care of her now, and she is upset that she could never be there to raise me. But I tell her, I was like, you raised me in a different way. Like, right. You not being there and me having to grow up with a mom who was ill and, missing persons and, just in and out of my life. Like, it taught me so much. Right. So I just tell her, I'm like, you just raised me in a different way.
I like to think of it that you turned, your pain into your purpose,
yeah.
And like created a message out of your mess. And I think it's really empowering to hear that you went through all that stuff and you're kind of like even relaxed about it. It's really cool.
I mean, now.
Yeah.
Trust me, there were years like if I even tried to talk about
it. Yeah, I can imagine. There's been lots of work that you gave yourself permission to do. So you're on your way to just like continuing growing the Tone It Up brand and this whole like mission behind empowering people to be open about mental health and wellness. I'm really passionate about staying present, but I always love to know like what's next for you, and maybe even what's next for Tone It Up.
Gosh, just sharing our message in light more. I just being in more homes, because there's so many people in the world that just need people like you or like us or a community, and there's so many people that haven't heard of it or aren't a part of it yet, and they are hurting. And it's out there. Like, if you are seeking help, seek it, ask for help, and everything is there for you.
Yeah. So if you haven't experienced Tone It Up, like, you must go check it out. Like, I love your app because I think it's very accessible, and it's also just like that community aspect is so freaking cool. So kudos for you, and like I love how you just want to create the community for the people who are already in the community. And that's what's been really cool about like your growth. It's that you're not focusing on what you don't have, you're focusing on what you do have.
Yeah, and we grew the community by word of mouth. It's like you tell your girlfriend like, hey, did you hear of Tone It Up? And they're like, oh no, and then you go check out Tone It Up. And it's been that way from the beginning.
Yeah, I realized that I've never been served an ad, because I get served lots of ads that are geared towards women for some reason. I don't know, for whatever reason, but yeah, that's so cool that you've done it all by word of mouth. And so anything is possible. That is cool. So I think it's time for our next road trip game. And this is a game that I play with all of my guests. And it's just to remind you that self-love can be bumpy, it can be uncensored, and also lots of fun. So we're going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill with inanimate objects. And I think that we're going to do Fuck, Marry, Kill with some like workouts, okay? So Fuck, Marry, Kill, yoga, Pilates, and HIIT.
Fuck Pilates. No, I'm sorry. Wait, fuck HIIT.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, kill HIIT.
Really? You don't like HIIT?
I don't like any kind of jump tucks. If you watch any videos, damn it, I don't know. I really don't. Fuck, Mary, kill.
I like to make it
This
really
is going to
hard.
take forever. Well, I'm going to marry yoga, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to kill HIIT, and I'm going to fuck Pilates.
Yeah. Have a nice, intimate time with
But I
Pilates.
really need HIIT. Like, in my
Yeah,
life,
well, that's why
because-
you want to kill it. We want to kill the things that we know we need the most because it's easier to just stay resistant forever.
Yeah.
So thank you for once again showing us that you are only human, Karena. It means the world to me. So I just have a couple of more questions for you. And I would love to know, what does self-love mean to you?
Self-love, it's taking care of, putting yourself as priority, and doing loving things to your body and your mind. And I think that's the most important, without feeling guilty. Because years ago, I would probably feel guilty if I was taking, time for myself or growing myself. But self-love also means knowing that you deserve it. And then it just makes you a better friend, girlfriend, husband, wife, it just makes you a better person. You can have better relationships with everyone else if you love yourself. You have to have that relationship with yourself first.
What would you say to someone who consistently feels like guilty and selfish for practicing self-love?
That you're worthy. You are worthy and deserving, and you deserve it.
Yeah.
So,
you
just knowing
do.
your worthiness.
Right. Worthiness is like, I think everyone struggles with that worthiness wound, and it's a really interesting thing and concept. Like, how do we define our worth and
Saying I do deserve it, and why do I deserve it, and yeah.
all those things. It's just like the constant like looking in the mirror and actually like seeing someone who is valuable and needed as you are. So I thank you for that message. It's so beautiful. So Karena, if people are just like casually obsessed with you, like need to know all of the things, want to meet your very fun husband as well, like where do they find you? Like how can they get a part of the Karena Dawn community?
ToneItUp.com, and then on Instagram, I'm Karena Dawn, and then Tone It Up.
Amazing. You guys, please go connect. And if you're watching this or listening to it, make sure to screenshot it, share it on Instagram. Something that I love about Karena is that she like likes and comments and responds to like basically everything that I do. So I'm sure she'll do it for you too. So make sure to, tag us at Karena Dawn, at Paul Fishman, at The Self Love Show. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Someone needs this message. If it impacted you, it's absolutely going to impact someone else. And thank you so much for joining me on the road to self-love, Karena. It's been so much fun. And we'll see you next time on the road to self-love. Bye.